Hello, I'm Tony, and today we are off to France, metaphorically, to play 100 Days, a vineyard 'em up free from Amazon Games until the 1st of November 2023. This game gives you the chance to run a vineyard, either via a story mode, challenge mode, or in endless mode, via a very simple interface, both in the options it gives you and the presentation. The graphics are the now familiar low detail, simple style that we've seen in loads of indie games by now. They do the job fine, as does the background music that plays occasionally. For some reason I had large stretches of gameplay with no sound save the kind of annoying clicking noise as the text appears. It's odd since the music itself is fairly unobtrusive, it's just simple string pieces that kind of match the bucolic setting of France. Gameplay revolves around a non-screen board where you place tasks like harvesting or wine bottling. The size and shape of both the board and the task restricts what you can do for each turn. It soon becomes clear you can't do everything you want, so it forces you to prioritise and plan your actions, which is not a bad trait for a sim game like this, and an interesting and effective way to do it. A little bit of Tetrising, which is a word, but don't look it up, is needed on occasion to squeeze the most for each day. Once you've made and had your wine tasted, you also need to manage selling it. How much you get for it will depend on the quality and the customer's requirements, plus the amount of discount a customer will ask for. Some of them are so cheeky, wanting like 50% or more off for large orders. So you do need to decide who you sell it to, especially as you have a limit to the number of orders you can fulfill each day. There's a tech tree where you can research new types of grape and yeast, and technology like how to use tractors. Most importantly, you can also increase the size of your board, allowing you to do more tasks each turn, which is essential when you want to have multiple vineyards producing multiple types of wine. You have 3 buildings that house the essential processes of winemaking: toolshed, winery and warehouse. Each of these can be upgraded to provide more options, from duplicate devices like more wine presses to a meteorological station for predicting the weather, which is actually helpful because you can't work on the vineyards at all when it rains. Once you have the right upgrade level to use, say, the tractor, you can go and buy one from the shop. So far this sounds pretty simple for a sim game, and it kind of would be if it wasn't for the process of making wine itself. This is where the real simulation part comes in. There's choices to be made at every step of every process that affect the end result of how your wine turns out. The field needs the right combination of multiple different variables like acidity, height, soil composition to optimally grow each type of grape. Matching a grape species to the wrong field gives a rubbish plonk that won't sell as well. Things like pruning adjust the quality, ripeness and quantity of grapes a field will produce, so you want to match that to the wine you want to make too. Pressing, aging and the yeast you use for fermentation all make a difference to the end product. Every wine has 4 main indicators that have a perfect value that you discover as you hit these values when you make the wine. And every time you produce a new vintage, you get it appraised. As mentioned before, some customers want very specific settings for each variety of wine. These are the special orders that get your reputation as a winemaker up, which is important because you need to be certain levels to open certain upgrades. You can get to a point of automating a lot of the processes in the game, though for reasons I'll get to later I never reached this point. The story mode is the best place to start with this game, as it adequately explains all the steps you need to take to get started in your business. Tells you every step of the process. Fair warning though, the story mode is not a tutorial. It really is a story which lasts around an hour and a half. There is no separate tutorial, which is a bit of a shame. You play the role of Emma, who moves to this vineyard and manages to make a name for herself in the local community, helped along by basically everyone in the local community. The dialogue and characterisation wasn't really for me. I really wanted a tutorial, and there's an awful lot of extra chat that for me neither explained the mechanics nor really pushed the story forward. The style of the story is just not one that I particularly enjoy. I'm sure other people will really take to it though. It's interesting enough, but I found it frustrating. It was continually interrupting my gameplay and the train of thought of what I wanted to do. I ended up clicking through most of it towards the end. Once the story is finished, you are free to carry on playing. It doesn't just end, which was fine. The challenge mode is exactly what you think it is. A set of challenges where you have specific goals to achieve in a set time. This is pretty tough, at least to begin with, as you really need to know your onions about grapes, or well, need to know grapes. This is why I'm recommending the story mode first. Endless mode is a mode that doesn't end unless you stop playing it. You can set a bunch of starting parameters to adjust the difficulty, or set up a specific sandbox if you have a particular goal in mind, and just play endlessly. I know the descriptions of the challenge and endless mode were really short, but that's only because I didn't really play them, because this game just wasn't for me. I can really appreciate all the details put in about the winemaking process. It's the core of the game, and it's very clear that the developers both love and know a lot about wine, but it just didn't land for me. I wasn't captured by the core loop of planting, pressing and bottling and all the extra steps involved. It felt a little bit too repetitive to me, and the game felt a little bit too slow. The expense of the multitude of upgrades really slowed down the progress that might have added new features to keep me engaged. Mostly I think it's just that I'm not that into wine and the winemaking process, so because I didn't have the interest in the core thing that the game's based around, I didn't really want to dive into all of those details and dedicate the time to learning the intricacies of what is effectively quite a slow moving game. Having said that, for those that might be interested in learning the intricacies of winemaking and playing this game and building up your vineyard, figuring out the best yeast and all the other things you need to do to achieve the optimal Chardonnay, this game will deliver as long as you have a bit of patience. It's a very well constructed, very detailed game, just about a subject that I'm not interested in. This is not going to be a do or don't recommend for this one. This is going to be a try it while it's free opinion. The quality is there, you just need to try it to see if the interest is. It's not going to be for everyone, but it's worth checking out, just in case it is for you. Now I'm going to take my 80% rated Chardonnay as a win and leave the winemaking business for good. I am not coming back. Never. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.